This segment of ScentBlocker Most Wanted is brought to you by the Whitetail Institute of North America. Deer nutrition is all we do. And by S4 Gear, meeting the demands of nature and those who tame it.
For 3 days, Bob has been hunting over Whitetail Institute food plots during the waning Alabama deer season. And with a full moon and unseasonably warm temperatures, he's only seen a couple small, younger bucks. But right as shooting light was ending, it's too bad the shooter didn't come out earlier. It's definitely the biggest buck they've seen so far. But with light fading fast, all he can do is hope this guy comes back a little earlier tomorrow.
Blind is right here, and there's a buck right there right now, already in the field. Unfortunately, he's got 2 points on one and none on the other.
A while back, we got to follow John on one of his muzzleloader hunts.
Late afternoon, we were almost about to give up, and a nice buck walked out. Shot him with the black powder, so we have no idea where or how big or anything. We'll give him a few minutes. We'll go see. As you can see, I'm a little shaky right now. Looked like a really mature deer. So let's see what we got. All right, we found him. Naturally, straight down a ravine, steep about 100 yards. Nice 7-point, definitely a mature deer. One that might not have shot at another time, but not seen a lot right now, and this deer probably needed to be taken on out. He's a very mature deer, fat. It's gonna be a chore getting him out of here, but not a bad chore. There's worse ways to spend my day.
Well, one of the things you hear a lot of people talk about is culled deer. And I shoot all the spikes because their culls are, well, I killed this deer. I know he should have went, but I could tell from his horns he doesn't have very good genetic stuff. But realistically, I want to know you all's opinions. Where you've hunted lots of places all over the United States, what would you call a culled deer?
I like to hunt older, mature deer. I don't believe that there's such thing as a young culled deer. But, you know, when they get older and they're at their potential, to me, that's as big a trophy as a mature deer with a bigger rack.
Well, you guys, coming from Pennsylvania and from the South, I know it goes way back to yonder years where it was thought to shoot the spikes because they're never going to mount anything. You very seldom see a mature deer with spikes.
Years ago, there used to be game check or deer check stations in Pennsylvania. Years ago, they don't do that anymore. But the statistics back then were 85, 90, or 92%, whatever it was, were 1.5-year-old bucks, yearling deer, okay? And a lot of them were spikes. Now, fast forward to now, they have a horn restriction in place. Has to be 4 on one side. It's amazing how few spikes there are and how many 8-pointers get shot. You can figure it all out. A spike, you know, Pennsylvania 11-pointer, isn't necessarily genetically deficient, he just needs a little time to grow.
From my experience, it's a rare thing to see a mature spike. You just don't see a lot of spikes that are over the age of 1. They exist, but not in the numbers that people think. 9 times out of 10, it's just a yearling buck growing his first rack out, and yeah, it could be a nutritional issue, it could be a late fawn, but it's something that they will overcome. It's not a genetic thing that they're just inferior animals. We don't make an opinion on a deer till they're at least 2, and a lot of times even 3, before we start making judgments as to whether or not what type of potential an animal may have.
Well, there's nothing you can do about genetics in a wild free-ranging herd. Very little that the hunting public can do to influence that at all, and you'll hear people talk about it, but there's really about nothing they can do. Wouldn't you agree?
Best analogy I ever heard is like herding cats. It's it's difficult at best, and I think culling needs to be left to the professionals. Mike, and there's some ranches in Texas that they like to take out the mature slick 8s, and you're talking about the mature 7-point. That's great, but if you're managing for better quality, the spikes probably should be let go till they get a little older. And matter of fact, the world record deer, we talked about that, I guess, last night. He was 260 inches one year. The next year he had an injury on one side. He actually went down in size to around 240. The next year his antler recovered and he scored close to 320 when they harvested the deer. A 15-year-old kid in Iowa killed him and he scored 320 inches and it's the biggest deer ever killed by man.
If you'd like to see the rest of this conversation or post your own thoughts, you can do it all at facebook.com/ScentBlocker Most Wanted.
ScentBlocker Most Wanted has been brought to you by IQ. Center the dot for the perfect shot. Block, history's toughest target. And by Glendale, the biggest and toughest 3D targets in the universe. ScentBlocker Most Wanted has been brought to you by Winchester Rifles and Shotguns. Trust your hunt to a Winchester. Easton, expect the best. Ford, and your quality Ford dealers. The Redemption muzzleloader from LHR Sporting Arms. Made for a lifetime, not for a season. And by Gilbreth's Taxidermy, the official taxidermist of ScentBlocker Most Wanted.
A lot of us, when we talk about food plots, we talk about, creating an attractant, a source for them to come feed. But I look at, and I hold this in my hands, and this kind of got dropped in front of my deer stand in Illinois with my camera guy just a couple of weeks ago. But in the last 7 years of putting in about 3 different products of yours, the nutritional value has to be there, because I have seen, it takes age, it takes genetics, but that alone is not growing stuff. I can't hardly get my hand around the mass of that, over 7 inches. Now these are not pinned up deer, free-ranging deer.
That's world class, wherever you are, the kind of mass. And it is, a lot of time, or I should probably say most of the time, people, when they plant food plots, it's for attraction in mind. But also there's a lot of guys out there that kind of got beyond that. They're interested in the nutritional value as well.
In the long term.
Absolutely. And it's something that there's products that we've got that are really designed to attract deer during the fall and winter hunting season, but we've also got products that supply superior nutrition during the spring and summer when antlers are growing. And this is one of the most amazing things there is. It's the fastest growing tissue in the animal world. A hardened antler like this is 45% protein, 55% mineral. As it starts to grow out of the head in the spring, what's not blood and water, but as it starts to grow, is 80% protein. Now, why do I say that? As a rule, research has shown deer need about 16 to 18% protein, average protein, in their diet each day during the antler growing process to have an opportunity to express their full genetic potential. For example, Imperial Whitetail Clover can provide up to 35% protein. It's one of the first things to green up in the spring. They're going to be wearing it out in the spring, and that's going to translate into bigger antlers to follow in fall.
With the Alabama deer season drawing to a close, Bob's looking at going home without a buck. But quality deer management is the name of the game, and he made sure to help out the folks at Whitetail Institute before heading back north.
Okay. We've got about 2 minutes of shooting light. There's no bucks. This is an old doe we've been watching for almost 3 hours. I'm gonna take her right here. Okay, you on her?
Well, the good news is that we didn't go home skunked on this trip. And then even the better news, as thick as this pine forest is, she went in, turned, and went about 5 yards, piled up, and it was an easy drag to get her out of here. You know, doe management in a place like this here at Whitetail Institute is crucial. And this girl, well, she's been around a while, but you know, the thing is these guys down here donate a lot of deer, and there's a lot of people in the area that they've got down here that, well, with the economy and the way it is, we come by hard times. Well, this girl won't go to waste. So I got to thank the guys here at Whitetail Institute for inviting me down. It was an awesome experience for me. What I learned and the amount of deer that I seen, considering the habitat they've got around here with all this pine forest, these deer are definitely eating a lot of tonnage of this clover. But pretty cool. We got to go get the old four-wheel. We're going to load her up, go back and tell the guys goodbye, and we're heading back to Illinois. So for my partner Larry Woodward, Scott Schultz, Lauren Thomas, Bob Richardson here. We'll see you somewhere next week, right here, ScentBlocker's Most Wanted.